Hey there, this is Matt Gorman, dothemiles.tv. I am in the pro shop of Guy's Bicycles in Feasterville, Pennsylvania. Today we're going to talk about the proper saddle height and fore and aft. And with me to help, we have Bob Burke, the owner of Guy's Bicycles. Bob, how are you?
Very good, Matt. Thanks for having me.
Oh, terrific, Bob. Thanks again. Listen, let's just get right into this. A big concern, and probably one of the most important things for comfort and injury on a bicycle is the saddle position.
Correct.
So how do we determine what's the best place to put a saddle?
Certainly, Matt. Saddle height is the first thing we want to work with, and eventually we'll get to saddle fore and aft, as you mentioned. Saddle height, we want to set up a rider on a bike being clipped in with their pedals and shoes. We want to set them up with the crank position at the bottom stroke.
Okay, now we're not talking about the 6 o'clock position.
Correct, not 6 o'clock dead bottom stroke, just bottom stroke, meaning we want this crank to be in line with the C-tube. So dead bottom stroke is when it's touching the floor almost, closest to the floor. What we want is this stroke here where the crank's lined up with the seat tube.
Okay, because it looks to me that that's where it's actually furthest distance from the saddle.
Absolutely, the furthest distance from the saddle is correct.
Okay.
At this point, we're looking for 3 landmarks on the body that determine this dream 30-degree window that we'll pick up using a goniometer.
Okay.
Most people at home won't have this, so this is just giving you an idea of the importance of this, that it should be done for you. If we can locate the end of the femur, or the greater trochanter, hard bone up in here, we can locate just behind the center of the patella, the kneecap, back center of it. We can also locate the ankle bone. We can then determine if we have that magic 30-degree window. So if I locate that femur end, and I locate that center patella, and I locate that ankle bone, I can see that I have 30. If it's not, we can adjust seat height up and down to get to our 30. Okay.
Now, Bob, there's a couple things questions come to mind. One, you've thrown out some skeletal terminology there, so this is not something for the untrained. I mean, you should really have somebody who knows what they're doing take this sort of a measurement.
Correct. If someone at home was doing this on their own, first you would need this. Secondly, it's not easy to do on your own. To know where them bones and landmarks are, a bicycle fitter would have more knowledge of that, and it's the best to do it. Again, the important thing here is to know that why the 30? What's the reason why seat height's so important? That number has been pretty much a standard in the bike industry now because it shows that it's the place that gives you the most amount of power with the least amount of injury. So we're really happy to see a number that can be pretty much covering the big demographic out there. There's exceptions to the rule, of course, but that number is really a nice number to start with to be sure that you're safely riding at a height that's not causing knee pain and hip pain and any kind of ankle pain, as well as maximum power output.
Perfect.
That then takes us to the saddle fore and aft.
Sure, okay.
So with saddle fore and aft, the first we want to do is be sure our saddle is level. So you can drop a good old-fashioned carpenter level in here and be sure that you're level. Level's adjusted, of course, from underneath side, and you can get them to be level. The next would be to determine that parallel crank position. So the rider now has the cranks parallel to the ground.
3 o'clock position.
3 o'clock position. At this point, we all know what our shin bone is, and we can find that shin bone right in the front, the real hard shin bone. We go up to the very end of it, and the very end where it rolls off, tibial tuberosity, the end of the tibia. So we can take that point and drop a plumb line from it and hope that it bisects to the center of this pedal axle. The femur here, length, is helping determine that. If that was a longer femur, this would be farther out. If it was a shorter femur, it would be shorter in. We can get that number to land properly by taking the saddle and extending it back or bringing it forward to get that to be its proper position. Again, to give us the most power on every stroke with the least chance of injury on every stroke.
Now I notice sometimes when I'm climbing, I find myself sliding back, and if I'm on a fast straightaway, I find myself a little bit forward on the saddle.
The reasoning behind this nice long 27-centimeter length saddle, common length, we're not sitting on all this saddle, but at times on the ride you are. There's a time on the ride where maybe 75% of the ride you're in a group of people just casually rolling through the pace. There could be a time when the road starts going uphill a little bit. You want to still stay in the saddle and just work that hill a bit. You're going to have a natural tendency, without even thinking about it, to nudge back a little bit. You'll get a little more power out of that position when your bike's not level to the ground anymore as it's going up.
Right.
Same case to be said, as you mentioned, they call it riding on the rivet or getting to the nose of the saddle to get that real short 10, 15, 20 second burst of power to get back up to the group that you got dropped because you're reaching for your water bottle or something. Then you'll settle back in again. So we want that gray area to work. That's what helps us determine that. If we were only focusing on one, a triathlete forward, a hill climber backward, we would have taken a different approach. But this is for the cyclist who does road riding and wants to see it all.
Terrific. Bob, this has been great. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
This has been Matt Gorman with Do the Miles. We've been talking about saddle height and fore and aft. I want to thank Bob Burke at Guys Bicycles in Feasterville, and we'll see you next time.